CoastVue.com.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews.
Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks
On SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that every single morning celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi, and as I always add, Mississippi for that matter, a wonderful place to live, work, and play. I'm so thrilled to be here this morning, and we've got a great guest today. We're going to actually get right into it. One of the things that I do on this show is talk about entrepreneurship and innovation and all the things that we need to be doing as a set of communities to kind of raise the economic bar. And I'm really pleased today to be joined by Tony Jeff, who's the president and CEO of Innovate Mississippi. Tony, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's great to have you. We're going to talk in just a second about the South Mississippi Angel Fund that's been developed. I was thrilled to read that my good friend, one of my best friends, Dave Dennis, is really engaged in this effort, and we'll come back to that in just a second. But what I want to do is give people an idea of who you are and who Innovate Mississippi is, and just kind of tell that story. So let's come back to Tony Jeff. Tell me your story, Tony.
So kind of an interesting, weird story. I graduated from Mississippi State after having grown up in Clinton, went all over for many, many years, and like a lot of Mississippians, wanted to find my way back home. I had a startup up in Chicago when I had been there and kind of caught the bug, even though that company ended up going under. And so when I was contacted by Innovate Mississippi, we were then the Mississippi Technology Alliance, but contacted by Innovate Mississippi, I told them I'll be there next week, but you can pretty much count on me finding a startup in the next year and leaving. But what I found over the years is seeing 2 or 3 new startups a week and helping those companies grow up, and seeing some of those companies grow up, get funded, then join our board of directors. Seeing that cycle over the years has just been so much more fun than, and of course, during that time, I've gotten married and have a family that probably would be harder for me to be an entrepreneur, but it's been great working with entrepreneurs. Like, we work with 8,500 of them a year, so it really is 2 or 3 new ones a week.
You know, I've really enjoyed my time with a number of people talking about entrepreneurship. You know, whether it be here locally with Ashley Edwards from the Gulf Coast Business Council, or from people like Eric Hill, who's head of the Center for Entrepreneurship at Mississippi. I know you know all these guys extraordinarily well. Michael McLaughlin, the entrepreneurial lawyer in Jackson, and others. It's a you know, we've got a lot of people focused on this subject, but there is a tremendous amount of innovation to unleash in this state, isn't there?
There really is, and I think what we've seen over and over, universities have always been in the center of that activity, but what we're seeing is, you know, now with space becoming so much more private, CNIS becomes a great opportunity, whereas before CNIS was an opportunity for contractors mostly to work with NASA and others. Now, as space is becoming private, that is a just tremendous entrepreneurial activity. And labs like the ERDIC lab in Vicksburg, and then of course USM's focus on the blue tech and the oceans activity and oceans technology. Those are really just emerging sectors in Mississippi, in addition to just a wave of students coming out of the universities that all want to be entrepreneurs. They don't want to go work in a factory for 30 years or go do something for 30 years of their career. They'd rather just play with a few of those ideas they have.
Yeah, one of the things I like to, we spend time on this show focusing on is that the perception of Mississippi, for those who live and work on the outside of Mississippi, their perception of us is often very different than what is actually taking place here. I've had so many amazing people on this show and share their stories who are not from Mississippi. One couple comes to mind that opened a business in Ocean Springs that came from Southern California and moved here. And what they talked about is that their perception of this place and then what they actually experienced here in terms of the business climate, in terms of the people, in terms of so many aspects of the culture here, just absolutely blew their mind. You know, you mentioned it just now. When people think about Mississippi, they don't think about Stennis Space Center and what's happening there, or Ingalls, one of the largest shipbuilders in the United States, and the technology that surrounds that. They don't think about, as you pointed out, the blue economy and what's happening with the blue economy and the opportunities that that brings to coastal Mississippi. I love the way that Eric Hill talks about it. He said, we have to build the kind of places where young people who are involved in innovation, entrepreneurship can find a spouse. I love that, because you're talking about building, in some cases, maybe mixed-use communities downtown where people can live, work, and play in a very similar area. But the technology opportunities, and technology is a big phrase that underneath lots of stuff can flow. But technology opportunities for Mississippi are really dramatic, aren't they?
They really are. And I think, interestingly enough, we have, there are various communities around the state that are able to do that in terms of attracting workers, attracting entrepreneurs. And I think all of the communities are realizing more and more how important that is, because frankly, the old model of economic development of just trying to attract a large smokestack, company has pretty much died all over the country. And there are still some areas of Mississippi where that can still work, and there maybe any job, would be helpful. But frankly, most of the communities need to focus on the higher end jobs, the knowledge economy jobs. And so what we're seeing is all the economic developers around the state are realizing that more and more, and it's become a much greater focus of economic development in the state, really in the last several years.
Yeah, I had Scott Waller from the Mississippi Economic Council on this week, and of course they're doing this tour now, doing roundtables with business leaders, and they're talking the same theme. Of course, Ashley Edwards has been on many times from the Gulf Coast Business Council, along with people like Anthony Wilson, the president of Mississippi Power Company, and William Yates from Yates Construction. All these guys play huge roles in the state as a volunteer leadership role in this area. But they all talk the same thing. If you go back and look at the Gulf Coast Business Council and the MEC, as their evolving strategic plan for Mississippi, it's completely different than the way it used to be. I mean, certainly there's going to be a part of what we do that's chasing the big factories and the industrial developments, et cetera. But man, as you pointed out, the key to success going forward is in building places, building entrepreneurial communities, building technology communities that really, and the kind of places people want to live in, that attract the workers. And if you attract the workers, you're gonna get more entrepreneurship. You're gonna have more people who can work remotely, and you'll have just more workers for the businesses that may want to relocate to your community. It's really it's kind of a big change in the way economic development is approached, just overall, isn't it?
It is. And I think, frankly, in Mississippi, the Mississippi Gulf Coast has so many better advantages from all of its communities than really most any other area of the state. Literally, as you go, just from west to east across, there are communities within every 10 miles. There are communities that could fit almost any type of, lifestyle in terms of whether people want to be on the beach or they want to be in a community with great schools, and that's not true everywhere in Mississippi. So I think the Mississippi Gulf Coast has a tremendous advantage in terms of growing those companies there and on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I mean, we're based in Jackson, but we work all over the state. We're seeing a whole bunch of activity on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and it's just because it is exactly that, communities people want to live.
It is. It's interesting. After Hurricane Katrina, I worked very closely with Haley Barber and a team of local volunteers to sort of kind of map out what are the infrastructure needs going to be going forward. What are the opportunities for our coastal communities going forward? And we hired Andreas Dwani, the father of new urbanism. We got 100 architects and planners from around the world, including the Princess Foundation. And it was amazing, though, that at the time we were talking about, making sure that we rebuilt these walkable communities, this sense of place that exists in each of these communities that make up coastal Mississippi. That was back in 2005, 2006. We were having these conversations because we already had arrived at a place that said if we can build this unique sense of place, we can do something really special. And of course, after Katrina, it was simply saying, don't lose that. That's the heart and soul of this community. It's the collection of those unique senses of places that makes coastal Mississippi so special. And if you go, now fast forward 16 years, we've been really working hard to do that. From Bay St. Louis, you see what's happening there, to Ocean Springs and all points in between. We've created this collection of communities that really gives us the foundation. I mean, I should always add this collection of coastal communities, because people want to live. They want to live a place that's a coastal community. They want to feel that beach life. They want to be able to go down and stand in the sand and look south and listen to some beautiful music and collect their thoughts. We've got the core is here for us to be successful. And with the bookends, Ingalls on one end and Stennis Space Center on the other, as you point out, man, we've got a lot to work with, don't we?
Absolutely. And I think, again, the communities, even if you didn't have blue tech and the ocean and space and shipbuilding, the communities would be a natural draw for entrepreneurs anyway. But I think adding to that, I mean, we're seeing in blue tech and in the privatization of space, companies that are moving to Mississippi to be close to Stennis, to be close to the activity the University of Southern Mississippi is doing with their blue economy activity. It's sort of for USM like what we saw with polymers, where folks were moving to Hattiesburg from all over the country to be close to the polymer science. We're seeing that already with a couple of companies moving close to Gulfport operations and the other operations USM has on the coast.
We're talking to Tony Jeff. Tony is the president and CEO of Innovate Mississippi. And when we come back, I want to talk about what is an angel fund. What kind of angel funds exist across the state? Who's involved in that? What kind of people are involved in contributing to angel funds? And then we'll talk specifically about a South Mississippi angel fund that's been announced. We'll come back to that in just a second. We'll see you after this break.
Coast View on SuperTalk 103.1
Is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota.
on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport.
See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com.
And remember,
When you think Toyota,
think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport or on allentoyota.com.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. We're talking about innovation and entrepreneurship and angel funds, and we'll specifically get to this in just a second. But it's the formation of a South Mississippi Angel Fund, and we're talking with Tony Jeff, who's the president and CEO of Innovate Mississippi. Tony, angel funds, for those of us who understand what they do, are really critical. I mean, across the country, communities that have had real success in entrepreneurship. I spent time in New Orleans. The Idea Village spent a lot of time matching angel funds with potential companies they could invest in, et cetera. The communities that do this well, they've had a lot of success. So why don't we just start with the whole notion of what is an angel fund, what kind of people invest in those funds, et cetera. Then we'll kind of evolve into Mississippi's angel fund network and how many people are involved in that. And then we'll get specifically to the South Mississippi Angel Fund after all that. So talk to me about an angel fund to begin with for someone who doesn't really understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important. People know a little about venture capital and the like, but I mean, Shark Tank is the easiest explainer for what angels investors do. Where individuals hear pitches, not large fund managers like venture capital, but individuals would hear pitches from companies and invest in them. And we've had this angel network, about 300 individuals around the state for many years. But what we found is that individuals have a hard time covering a wide enough breadth in terms of industry, also in terms of diversification. And as every investor in our group, we'd always tell them, look, don't make one investment, make 2 a year for the next 4 years, because you need to diversify in this space as well. But it's difficult for an individual to do that. And so our angel investor network many times would have 4 or 5 people interested, but they didn't quite have the individual expertise to do the due diligence and close the deal. These angel funds then allow collectively 18 to 20 investors, each with different experience, different industries, to then rely on each other to make those investments and build a portfolio that's going to be automatically diversified. So what we've done with the North Mississippi Angel Fund, the Central Mississippi Angel Fund, and now the South Mississippi Angel Fund, is we've just gotten angel investors from the regions together. It's a really unique situation because Innovate Mississippi is actually not involved in any way once it's up. We help bring them together, but they're member managed funds. So, matter of fact, we're prepping deals all the time that we're taking to investors. And sometimes even after we help form the fund says, no, I don't like that one. I don't want to hear that one. But this is part of the deal. Those individuals will make those decisions. But it allows the collective experience and industry knowledge and other things like that to come together to make investments in the region. Interestingly, the North Mississippi Angel Fund and Central Mississippi Angel Fund did not choose to specify the region in which they would invest. They were just going to invest whatever deals they saw, but probably seeing mostly local and regional deals. But the South Mississippi Angel Fund in the design process said, we want to see at least half the deals we want to invest in from South Mississippi, from really Hattiesburg South. So that's put into their operating agreement and everything as they're starting to get together, as they're saying from the beginning, they want to invest half or more in South Mississippi companies.
Where you guys have actually amassed over 300 investors. Where do these investors come from?
Well, so we started trying to build the Angel Fund in about 2005, just starting with some board members and others that we reached out to. That 300-person list, they're not all active, as you might guess. Before the pandemic, we would go do a road show in, say, Oxford, Jackson, and the coast, and you might expect 10 to 20 individuals there. And when we would tape it, another 20 or 25 would watch the pitch. But it was always a rotating group because folks will come in and out. I mentioned they should all diversify, but many of them, unfortunately, come into the network all excited, fall in love with the company, write one big check, and we never see them again. If that big check was to say FNC in Oxford that made 46 millionaires out of the deal, then they come back. But a lot of times the deals don't work out as nicely as that. So that's the group that we then pull together into these angel funds, like we're doing here in South Mississippi.
Well, you and I mentioned at the beginning of the show, and then we talked a little bit about during the break, but Dave Dennis of Specialty Contractors is a board member. and he's been heavily involved in starting the South Mississippi Angel Fund. But Dave's a special dude, isn't he?
He is, and he's been a member for our board of directors for Innovate Mississippi for a while. And so one of the people we had relied on when we first started looking at the South Mississippi Angel Fund, and he helped bring together, we've had actually 12 individuals involved in South Mississippi in designing the fund, like how large the fund units would be and how the decision making would be done and the idea they would focus in the region, all of that design work. It's kind of the boring back end, but it's important because you don't want to have a fund with, that doesn't fit the region. And interestingly enough, the fund size in terms of how many, what the unit size is, all that is kind of part of that design process that we've done, and Dave helped us pull that together, and we were very excited about that.
So how much money is going to be in the South Mississippi Angel Fund initially?
It's being designed as $1 million fund, but the way the fund is designed, most of the members will probably contribute alongside to deals they like as well. So we would, if it follows the model for the North Mississippi Angel Fund, which has been around now for a couple of years, they might invest 3 times the actual money they put in. So in a typical deal, the fund may say, we're going to put in $80,000 into every deal. And then the members who like that deal more will write side checks. We actually have a situation like that right now where the North Mississippi Angel Fund with a company on the coast is going to deploy, more money through the side checks than they are through the actual fund. So you probably see investments of $2 to $3 million as a result of the fund.
That's a good thing, though. I mean, that's a good thing. You want investors to get excited about innovation and an idea that has the opportunity to really pay dividends. That's what the whole process is about. It's about matching people who have those resources with people who have the idea and the wherewithal, who are burning the midnight oil, who have a great idea and who's willing to kind of push it forward. And at the end of the day, certainly they're investing in ideas, but they're often investing in entrepreneurs, aren't they? They're buying an entrepreneur. Talk more about that.
So the individual entrepreneur, the businesses will pivot many times after they've taken investment. So believing in that entrepreneur and that team, and it's almost always a team of at least a couple of folks that are typically able to raise capital. And that is a big part of what they're doing. And it's also the reason why at this stage, angel investors like to be close to their investments. So venture capital companies contact us all the time wanting to see Mississippi deals, and they're staying in California and they will invest in Mississippi if it's the right deal. But angel investors want to be close by. It's the reason why we started the Angel Network and are doing these angel funds. If that angel investor is in Nashville or Austin or even New Orleans, they're pulling those companies there, and we don't want that to happen, right? We want those companies to grow up here in Mississippi.
Wow, that's actually a really, really important piece of this. We want these companies to be successful in Mississippi. So I was having a conversation with Steve Azorn. He was talking about a young man who's had incredible blues success in Europe. He said, well, go to Europe and have your success, but get your butt back to Mississippi when it's all said and done. We don't want any brain drain, whether it's entrepreneurs or artists or whatever it might be. We need to keep our people here. And, it's really, at the end of the day, that's one of the big challenges we face is fighting brain drain. And this is one of the ways to do that, isn't it?
It is. And honestly, I left the state for 10 years before coming home. So I feel a little bit like a hypocrite when folks, but the main thing is we need to get them back, right? Let them go and have that, experience somewhere else, as long as we have communities that can bring them back. And honestly, a lot of these folks that live in other places discover once they have a family, how much more difficult it is to raise a family in a different environment like that, or in a city or in other spots like that. And so of course, it's nice to keep them here in the first place, but having communities that can draw them back, having these kind of opportunities. And, these companies are hiring, lots of folks too. The companies that we're working with after they're getting funded are generally going through, that's what they're doing. Why they need money is to grow. And so it's a big opportunity to then bring back folks in these startup environments. And not every startup will be successful. It's a very risky business, but at the same time, those that do, the sky's the limit in terms of what they can do.
All may not be successful. That's just kind of sort of the name of the game. That just goes with the territory. But the reality is, when organizations like Innovate Mississippi, through things like the Angel Fund or any other efforts that you guys are involved in, brings focus to opportunities to innovate and help teach entrepreneurs the sort of support mechanisms that are available to them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're trying to create sort of an environment where they have a good chance to succeed, that they're surrounded by people who can help them be successful. So when it's a more coordinated effort, when it's a more passionate effort, when it's driven by people like you and all the people you've been able to amass, we give those entrepreneurs a better opportunity to succeed, don't we?
We do, and frankly, they need that model too. Many of these companies will leave without even giving it a chance. I've had that happen, but if they can see a company that can be successful in Mississippi, they will follow that model.
I know they will. Well, look, Tony, Jeff, we're out of time for today, but I look forward to you visiting with me here on Coast Vue on a regular basis. I've been looking forward actually to meeting you and getting to know you better. I'm very, very aware of the efforts of Innovate Mississippi, and I appreciate you taking the time to join me this morning.
Well, thank you for having me. Love to be back anytime.
You bet. We'll be back after this break.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast Vue on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to supertalkmsgulfcoast.com.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter. Has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard. And,
wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive, fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
SuperTalk Mississippi. Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth. When you want the truth. Simply because it might hurt some feelings. And nothing but the truth. Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on Super Talk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that every single morning celebrates the people who are making coastal Mississippi such a special place to live, work, and play. Hey, you may remember the name Kofi Annan. He was the former Secretary General of the United Nations. And he died 3 years ago this month. But one thing he said, I kind of stored this quote aside because I always thought it was pretty powerful. But he said this: to live is to choose, but to choose well, you must know who you are and what you stand for, what you want, where you want to go, and why you want to go there. I love that quote because it really reminds us all that we should all be striving to be the best versions of ourselves, finding our purpose in life. And, we have the opportunity to talk to people every day who inspire us to try to, raise the bar for ourselves and to do better. Not try to be like them, but to try to learn from them and be inspired by them so that we can raise our bars and become better versions of ourselves so we can find our purpose in life. So to live is to choose, but at the end of the day, we must choose well. That's a great lesson. So let me bring today's guest in. I also want to bring Kyle in. So Matt McDonnell from the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum and Convention Center, and Kyle, the producer of Coast Vue. And first of all, good morning to both of you guys. How you doing?
We're continuing to push forward and survive this next round of COVID.
Kyle, how you this morning, buddy?
Pretty good. Status quo over here.
Status quo. Hey, look, if this is to the audience, and I want to just kind of get you guys' thoughts real quick, but we had the honor of having Lee Bond, the CEO of Singing River Health Systems, here on a regular basis, along with Dr. Conger and other professionals, first responders and others who are out there fighting every day to try to battle this incredible outbreak of Delta, this hyper contagious variant. But Kyle, yesterday we had the opportunity to hear from Lee Bond, and man, I wish anyone who's sitting on the fence about vaccines would listen to what Lee Bond had to say, as he had to deal with a friend of his dying in his own ICU, the average age of people going down. This guy that he talked about who was his last words were, "I wish I hadn't listened to the people on Facebook." Last words before he died. That's hard to hear, isn't it, Kyle?
It really is hard to hear. And the thing about it is when you hear people defend their reason for not getting a vaccination or for whatever their logic is, it's really hard to, you just kind of, was in that situation the other night. We had a tech rehearsal and saw some people that I haven't seen in, probably since last season. And of course, that's the conversation when people get around. How are you been? Have you done this? Have you done that? And pretty much right away when they start defending their reasons that it's a no-win situation, it's easier just to say, yep, I get it, and try and change the subject. Because
I know.
They're going to defend it till their last dying day, and that's what ends up happening. And we heard from Lee the real-life stories that people just refuse to believe or want to hear, and it happens every day.
Yeah, I've mentioned this Kaiser study that said there's still a large number of undecided people. There's some that have set their minds, but because there's an undecided group that are, as they learn more about COVID and they know people who are dying and who are struggling, there are people who are changing their minds. And as long as I can impact people, as long as you can impact people, I know, Kyle, you've set your own example as well. We're going to keep trying. Coming back to our friend from the Coliseum, Matt McDonnell. Mac, you know Lee Bond well, don't you?
Very well. Lee used to be an auditor for one of our CPA accounting firms here on the coast, and Lee audited our books here at the Coliseum for many years. So I've known Lee just about as long as I've been in South Mississippi, which is 35 years. And Lee's a numbers guy, okay? And he's a very successful, talented professional here on the coast, and he's risen through the ranks and has had many high-powered positions, but none more important than what he's doing right now as the CEO of one of the largest hospital systems in maybe the entire state of Mississippi. But Lee sends me numbers, every week or so. He'll send me data that I can read and decipher for myself. And knowing Lee like I know, Lee's not putting out bad numbers. He's putting out the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie, period. You can twist them, you can turn them, but what he's saying is what he's seeing in his own hospitals, and you got to believe it. I just want to let the viewers know I'm vaccinated, okay? Yeah. I'm vaccinated. It didn't hurt me. It didn't affect me that I'm aware of, and I've been vaccinated now since March. I can't wait to get a booster. I like interacting with people. I like going to certain types of events and being in certain types of gatherings. And I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to be wondering if I'm safe. Okay, that's as simple as I can put it. Now, the reality of my world is this card right here is going to be required now to get into certain events. Now, fortunately, I've not had that request made yet, but I do believe it will be coming. To go to see a Saints game, Kyle, I know you work for the New Orleans Saints. To go see a Saints game, you have to show this, okay, in order to go see professional football. I'm just waiting for the Southeastern Conference to initiate or implement that program. They have not announced that yet, so I don't want to put any fear into anybody, but I won't be surprised if they do announce that. It's going to be really protocol, I think, maybe for the next 6 months or longer, to where people feel that they can go out again in public in large gatherings and be safe.
Yeah. Cal, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I've already had to go through that situation as far as showing that I was vaccinated. I had to show the card, a copy of the card, give it to HR. There's a whole list of procedures that I've received an email yesterday that we're going to have to go through, just protocols just to be aware of, nothing that we have to do before game day since we are vaccinated, but it's protocols and steps and who to talk to if something happens. And, it's a reality of what it is. And it's not about control. It's not, there's no microbes in your veins running around tracing you. Everything that, is tracking you is in your hand that you're using to report, hey, I don't want to be tracked. Well, thanks for the update, but,
So let me make one more comment about Lee, and then we'll shift gears and get an update from Matt. But the thing about Lee that impresses me, number one, he's a numbers guy. You know that. I mean, he's got an incredible career as a numbers guy. He ends up becoming the CEO of Singing River Health System. I think the right guy for the job at the time. But he's also got a heart. I mean, this guy's got a heart, and it's heartbreaking to hear him tell these stories, to hear him tell the stories of nurses that walk one after another, walking out of these ICU rooms crying because these young people with these young kids dying. This is ridiculous, man. We've got to we got to try to stop this by getting the best information possible out there. And gosh, I hope people will listen to that conversation with Lee Bond. And if you're dug in, have a second thought about it. So that's enough for today on that. But Matt, thank you for adding your comments about it. But man, you work in the big event business. You talk to people all over the country.
I'm dealing with Live Nation. I'm dealing with AEG. They both have shows that are on the books still that are going to play hopefully in October, December, February, all into first quarter next year. And there are protocols that are now in place in venues that they control. Let me repeat that. Venues that they control that says you must show proof of vaccination to come to see XYZ concert, XYZ comedian, XYZ sporting event. Okay, so that is the reality of what is happening throughout the country. Now, fortunately, we have not had that request. I do believe in people having rights and being and having freedom to choose. I do believe that. But in the same token, when it comes to health, I think you have to be very smart and you have to listen to guys like Lee Bond and to 95% of the physicians out there that are saying, get the shot. Okay. I don't want to get on the soapbox, but it will ultimately affect what we do here at the Coliseum. It's just a matter of time. And I don't want people to be bad-mouthing the Coliseum because we implemented a policy that the person renting the venue has said they want in place in order for them to come to our venue. You have the choice not to attend. That's your choice. I respect that. But they have the choice to make sure that their people that they're bringing to our venue to perform are in the safest possible situation. So it's a two-edged sword. I get it. And I do respect your right not to attend, but I also respect the right of the people coming to want to be safe and have their artists perform in a safe environment.
So, Matt, when you look at the lay of the land now, coming out of the third wave, you started to see concerts get rescheduled, events rescheduled, things were real. I mean, it's obviously things were opening up rapidly. And now we have to pivot rapidly because of this hyper contagious. Let's do this. We're coming to the end of this segment. On the other side of this, let's kind of get an update on what you're hearing from your promoters, what you're hearing about events, etc. Have there been any canceled? We'll come back.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Dale Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera flips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
All across coastal Mississippi, we're blessed to have incredible leaders. And one of them is Matt McDonnell from the Coast Coliseum, someone that I've worked with for a bunch of years, seen him in action for a bunch of years, both as a public servant and in a way still a public servant, really, as he leads the Coliseum during some very difficult times. You know, not the first difficult time, but certainly one of the most difficult times we've had to face, at least in terms of this elongated pandemic that we're dealing with now. But so let's come back to what's the current situation that you're facing in terms of scheduled events?
Well, we've had a few events drop off of our schedule as of late last week and then early this week. The rescheduled spring break event that was going to turn into a end of summer beach festival canceled here at our facility. My understanding is they may still have some smaller events on the beach or at the club scene level. I'm not completely aware of that, but I know all the activities here canceled. A lot of it really had to do with the fact that promoters depend on the last 10 days, 2 weeks to 10 days before an event to get the really strong momentum to build to where they can finish out and either get out of the hole or add to their profit lines. But in this case, that wasn't going to happen with the spike in the Delta variant on us like it is. I mean, it's an explosion in cases, and people are nervous about traveling again. People are nervous about getting out and gathering in large areas, particularly indoors. So the promoters made the conscientious decision, and I think some of it certainly was financial, but also some of it was being responsible to pull the plug on the events here at the Coliseum. In addition to that, we lost two major conferences, one being the Mississippi Nurses Association scheduled for October. Now, who better would know what we're dealing with than nurses? Okay, they know what's coming, and they pretty much have an idea it's going to be around for a little while. So they have once again canceled their annual conference here. This will be 2 years in a row that we've missed hosting their event. We also lost a wholesale grocery show that was supposed to start on Monday. They literally pulled the plug last Friday, canceled rooms at one of the casino properties, canceled the exhibit space here at our facility. Vendors were about to start getting routed into the area. That all ended last Friday. And then we lost another conference in September. So we definitely are starting to feel the effect of this wave of COVID, and we will deal with, how we have to deal with it from an expense side and holding the line on our expenses and managing the funds that we have.
You're right about, coming back to the nurses, I'm sure obviously they were concerned about safety, but at the same time, it also tells an important other story that's unfolding, and that is that nurses don't have time to go to a conference right now. They're so focused on saving people, and they're shorthanded. My daughter-in-law works for Select. When they take patients from the ICU that are going to need a little bit longer-term care. It's not a rehab facility. It's just a sort of an extended stay situation for certain patients. And she's been told that she may need to work. She helps transition from Memorial to Select, but she may actually have to go into sort of nurse's duty now. When you look at the difficult time that hospitals are having right now with being shorthanded, when the numbers continue to climb. Like, for example, yesterday they reported 4,000 new cases. What that means is, if you look at the averages, it looks like that essentially 300 more people will have to go to the hospital, and so many of those will end up in the ICU. Every single day, those kind of numbers are reported. That means every single day, 300 more people, 300 more people, 300 more people. Good. Think about this for a second. We haven't nearly peaked yet. Dr. Dobbs said this could go for another 6 to 8 weeks or maybe longer. Good.
Well,
hey.
and we're prepared for that in terms of how we manage our events and how we manage our staffing and our expenses. We've been down this road. We're going down it again. It is frustrating to ramp up, ramp down, because we had just finished April, May, June, July were phenomenal months for us. Okay, it really dug us out of a hole. That, along with some government grants that we were able to obtain, got us back really in a stronger position than we were pre-COVID. But that being said, you know what? We're going to deal with what we have to deal with. We're going to take the hand that we're dealt, and we're going to make it work to the best that we can. The events that we still have on the books, like KISS, they still plan on playing. Nothing yet on any type of requirement to come see that. So don't get all nervous and start calling saying, hey, I don't have a vaccine, I got to get a refund. None of that's been requested yet. We will certainly put that out there if that happens. Chris Stapleton certainly is planning on playing December 4th. We've got 3 nights of hockey coming in December. Disney on Ice, I've confirmed with them that they're still going to be performing again in November. We'll bring ice skating back. Cruising the Coast, I've met with Woody Bailey several times over the last few weeks. He's looking for record numbers, like 9,000 cars to register. So we just have to continue to be smart. We have to continue to promote. And you know what? If I'm offending someone because I say, please go get this filled out and get that shot in your arm, then you know what? I'm sorry I offended you, but I got to make sure that we get this behind us as quickly as we can.
So 95% of the board-certified physicians in the United States have got the vaccine, and your director of the Coliseum, Matt McDonnell, got the vaccine.
All of my staff got vaccinated as quickly as we could. When the state was here administering the vaccination, that was one of the things that I requested. They couldn't guarantee it, but they worked us in as quickly as they could, and we got our staff vaccinated.
Well, my family is Auburn because my son went to Auburn. Obviously, we all went to Southern Miss, but we're big War Eagle people. But I'll have to go ahead and say it to you. Roll Tide. I know you're excited about the season.
Well, you know what? By the time we get into college football, I plan on attending a few games during the season, and certainly if we get into postseason, I'll make that run. But I won't be surprised whatsoever if I'm required to show that proof of vaccination to get in to see college football.
I think that's right. So, Matt McDonnell, thank you, buddy. We'll stay in touch with you. We'll get back to you in a couple of weeks, just see how things are going.
Thank y'all. Hey, don't be afraid. Go get that shot. Go get it.
Okay. Thank you for that message, man. Appreciate it.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.